Think gadget reviews, news, and all about it.
Apple iPad Pro 9.7 Review 1. It's a device that's far too easy to dismiss. It's just an iPad Air 2 with some of the features from last year's ginormous iPad Pro, right? But that's a bit like saying a martini is just a combination of gin and vermouth. The result is still bloomin' delicious. And so it is here. By combining the Air 2's form factor with the Pro's productivity and creativity skills, plus a few features that aren't even on the big version, Apple has actually produced the ultimate iPad. 2. A familiar face. If familiarity breeds contempt, Apple's playing a dangerous game with the iPad Pro 9.7, only an expert could tell the difference between it and the Air 2 at first glance. In fact, the two devices have utterly identical dimensions and weight figures. But we already know that Apple likes to get as much mileage from its designs as possible, and who can blame it? It's still utterly gorgeous, impossibly thin and fabulously lightweight. If you do fancy a game of spot the difference, go straight for the rear panel. The new Pro can be identified by its protruding camera lens, which surprisingly doesn't create wobble when it's flat on a desk, and associated True Tone flash. 3. While cellular models now have just a white line towards the top edge, rather than the awkward white panel of the Air 2. The edges also give the game away. Like the bigger iPad Pro, and unlike the Air 2, the Pro 9.7 has two sets of speakers on both the top and bottom, plus the row of 3 magnetic circles that constitutes Apple's smart connector for keyboards. Of course, if the iPad you're holding is rose gold, you really don't need to go hunting for differentiating details, only the pros get Apple's finish du jour. 4. Pro performance. If the iPad Air 2 was all about content consumption, the new Pros are far more weighted towards content creation, which is enabled by both power and accessories. Under the hood, the iPad Pro 9.7 has the same A9X chip and M9 Go processor as its bigger brother, and while RAM has been reduced from 4GB to 2GB, that doesn't prevent it from absolutely storming through practically everything you throw at it. This is a hugely slick and snappy experience all round, and while an extremely demanding designer might be able to find the point at which the 2GB of RAM falls short, an extremely dedicated designer will also probably buy the bigger version of the Pro anyway. 5. Compact keyboard. Of course, being a writer, it's the smart keyboard that interests me more, and while not as magical as the Pencil, I am rather impressed with it. Yes, it's small compared to a laptop keyboard. No, it doesn't have a trackpad and it's not quite rigid enough for truly satisfying typing on your lap, although you can make do. But it is very easy to adapt to and it has a lovely feel under the fingers, with a rather rewarding clackiness despite the shallow movement. 6. I don't feel as though the time is quite right to replace your laptop with a tablet, but that's more because most productivity apps aren't quite as, well, productive as their full computer equivalents than because of the hardware. And now that Apple has developed the platform, it won't be long before more developers take advantage. The number of apps that utilize the Pencil has already risen a great deal since the first Pro was launched last November, and now there's a more affordable, mass-market model available. Expect that growth to accelerate quickly. 7. Camera overkill. This really is the 12MP snapper from the iPhone 6s, complete with the True Tone flash that helps to ensure your friends look a little less like ghostly apparitions when you take photos at night. Sure enough, pictures taken using the Pro 9.7 look practically identical to those taken using the 6s, sharp, detailed and naturally colored. You get the ability to capture Apple's animated live photos, too, although viewing them on the Pro involves a long press rather than extra pressure as there's no 3D touch. But any self-respecting person is still going to balk at the idea of taking photos using a tablet, and while Apple insists that the Pro 9.7's enhanced photographic skills can be used for further productivity pursuits, scanning, for example. 8. A matter of price. The Pro 9.7 isn't a replacement for the Air 2, it's a step up, and it's priced accordingly. Direct comparison is tricky, as neither tablet is available with the same storage, but the entry-level Pro is £500, whereas the Air 2 is a comparatively affordable £350. The Pro does get you 32GB of storage, 128GB and 256GB versions are also available, but as with the bigger model, it doesn't come with the pencil or smart keyboard, which will set you back £79 and £129 respectively. 9. iPad Pro 9.7 Verdict. If your tablet life consists entirely of content consumption and you see that continuing for the foreseeable future, the Air 2 is probably still the iPad for you. But if you like the idea of a tablet that allows you to be more creative or productive, the Pro 9.7 is well worth the extra outlay. It might not replace your laptop, but it can stand in for it when you need it to, and it's a far nicer, more natural device for reading. And isn't reading what most of us do on our tablets most of the time, whether that be web pages, books or magazines? 10. Specification-wise, the iPad Pro 9.7's screen appears to be identical to that of the Air 2. Both are 9.7 in on the diagonal and have a resolution of 2048 by 1536, resulting in a pixel density of 264p. At stuff we're certainly not above the clamor for more pixels, and in a way it's a shame that the resolution hasn't gone up since the first iPad Air launched in 2013, but no one's going to look at the Pro 9.7 and find it wanting for sharpness or detail. Literally everyone I've showed the new Pro to over the last few days has muttered something along the lines of "that screen is amazing,"